Good morning, good morning. Let's pause with a little bit of controversy in the spiritual circles, will we? I have just come back from a 4 day festival, a women's festival, Seven Sisters, and I'm still trying to land, so bear with me. I haven't even got home yet. I'm looking after and supporting my daughter, who is pregnant and due very, very soon. So we're washing baby clothes and all sorts of things, which is so beautiful. uh, and the very last session, so I want to break something down and process it with you. The very last session that I went to at the festival was a workshop called Reclaiming Lilith, or no, Reclaiming the Feminine, and it was about Lilith. So for those that are wondering who Lilith is, Lilith in biblical, like ancient text, is the first wife of Adam. It's not in the Bible. I've discovered, been doing a little bit of looking around and searching myself, and Lilith is not in the Bible, but she is in other ancient text. And so in the spiritual realms, the spiritual industry, if you want to call it, Lilith is seen as the dark goddess, and reclaiming that side of ourselves that is powerful and unrelenting and rebellious, right? And I want to just, so that's who she sort of represents in the spiritual realms. And I have been processing. It was a really, really beautiful. I loved the session that I went to, the talk. The lady's name was Sars Friedman, Sars Friedman. She was on social media, on Instagram. I found her on Instagram. Beautiful, strong woman. And I'm getting into looking at the codes that are in all of these ancient texts, because one of the things that you can go through and look at these storylines that we have been, that they're foundational in our society, whether you like them or not. When you're looking at these, you can look at them as the storyline, and you can see that Adam and Eve and Lilith were real people, and they had a real experience, and this is who they were, right? And I don't know if they were real people or not, because I wasn't there. However, one of the things that I know of these ancient texts is that they're actually codes for consciousness. They're codes for a way of being. So, for example, Adam and Eve. Adam is a code for consciousness, right? And Eve is a code for the vessel, right? Adam needed Eve to co-create, to birth society, to become, right? To become more than. And, there's a lot of controversy around the whole Adam and Eve thing and the storyline, and whether we are getting the full story or not, and all the things. I know it, I get it, and I'm not, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, because that's not what we're here for today. And I'm wanting to share, and I'm really wanting to process with you, because as I said at the start, it's still something that I'm landing back in my body after 4 beautiful days with women, walking around in on uneven ground and lots of rocks. And my body's achy and all the things, right? And it was really interesting going to Lilith as the last session, because I'd started the 4 days with a sort of like a what do they call it, a woman's craft workshop, where we were talking about menopause and just, oh no, actually it was the inner patriarchal line, the lineage within, the internal patriarchal energy. And it pulled, I don't, now where I'm at in my awareness, I don't sit there and write notes anymore. I sit and I absorb the information, and then through that information I see what lands and what's bubbling up and what comes back up. And one of the things that came back up for me in that first workshop was, where am I not supporting women? Where am I not supporting? Know that we've got 1.2 billion women moving into menopause within the next, from now to 2030, I think it was. That's a lot of women coming into their power. Moving from mother to Marga, I think that's how you say it, or mage. That moving into that next level of the wise woman, right? And perfect timing for us as a society, as we're moving in and claiming more of the feminine, more of the stillness and the presence, and letting that pendulum swing back, you know, and come into balance. So when I finished the weekend with this Lilith workshop, I had to look and go, Lilith is representing the rebellious feminine in a way, in my opinion. If we're going to look at the codes rather than looking at them as people, there is so much value in the Lilith energy, because this lady was sharing the sacred no, you know, claiming your space, being able to be present. And she did an amazing job of it, because there was this time, I'm going to just digress for a second, there was this moment where there was a young girl that asked a question about internal rage and how to get it out, and when is appropriate and all of those things. And this other woman on the side that had already interrupted once, and she went to interrupt again. And the facilitator, the speaker, stopped her with a big, hand, paused, like, hey, I'm going to stop you there. We don't need advice right now. And it pulled the other woman into this internal, oh my God, I'm being too much, I don't belong, all the things. You could see all of the sabotage beliefs just come all over her face, and she withdrew. And the facilitator said, were you just about to give advice? And the woman said, no, I wasn't. I was going to share an experience. And she said some more stuff. But the facilitator had a moment herself where she recognized that she misread the experience. And instead of apologizing, she stopped and she said, let's just pause together for a moment, because that all went too fast for me. And they had a moment together, and I won't share the rest, but I just loved the language around that. That went too fast for me. So she didn't apologize for the fact that she misread it, right? Because she didn't need to. But it went too fast for her. She did misread it, and she just went into this space of acknowledging that, but in a really empowered, beautiful, strong way. I'm like, whoa, that was awesome, right? and getting back to the processing, from what I'm seeing, Lilith is the rebellion, but if we're looking at Adam and Eve as duality, as masculine and feminine, right? So the structure and the presence, right? Then Lilith represents the misaligned ego, because the rebellion against being in unity is misaligned energy, or the ego that wants to be an individual and doesn't get that opportunity for co-creation. So that's where I might hit some buttons with that, because that is not the way Lilith is represented in the spiritual community, right? And so for me, looking through this lens and looking at my own processes, I've had to look at society and standing up for women, standing up for supporting the feminine to be empowered, and where I personally have not stepped into that because of the language, because of the definition, because of the labels. And my daughter and I got the chance yesterday to have a big conversation about this, and one of the things that she said in her beautiful, mother energy, she's got some wise words, that woman. One of the things that she said is, as soon as in society, as soon as you move into the space of because I personally have raised her to be not even an equality, not even, I don't get into any of these labels. I'm a humanist, right? If you're human and you're having an experience, then that's yes, I don't want to have any of these labels. And this is what we were talking about, because as my daughter said, as soon as you move into the space of standing up for women who really need to be stood up for still, because there's a lot of emotional baggage, there's a lot of history of pain and suffering and torture and all the things, we all know it, right? As soon as you do that, you're classified as a feminist and a man-hater, and that's not the case with everyone, right? That's a generalization, because, again, as my daughter said, and when I looked down at the time, it said 333, which was so cool. Another thing that Carly said was, because often the people with the loudest voice are the ones that are used as the example, right? And the strong women that consider themselves as feminists are often the ones that have that, trauma response of having a problem with men, and so therefore they're the ones that are boxed and labelled, and we all get stamped with that. So it's a really, really big topic, and it's one that I've been processing myself, of where do we go with this, other than be the example, be the strength. And the reason, my Facebook group is called Soulmate Attraction Secrets for Curious Women is not because I'm against men at all, is because I'm a woman. And this time around, my experience is to be a woman. I don't remember what my experience was in previous lives as a man. If I tapped into it, I would be able to, but I'm not here to do that. I'm here to tap into me as a female, and support my community as a female and serve as a female. And so, in fact, I have always got on quite well, and often throughout my life, in fact, most of my life, got on better with men. I grew up with two boys, and I mean, that's a whole story, right? But I've had a lot of men in my life, more than I have women, and it was a big thing because my mum didn't raise me to understand my female side and to understand women, because she didn't understand herself as a woman. And so it's been a big journey for me, to recognize myself as a woman, to reclaim my feminine, and to allow myself to hold that space of being feminine, because the femininity, or the feminine aspect of myself, because I, like most of us, unconsciously, dark deep within, have thought the feminine as weak and not valuable. So that's what I'm reclaiming, and that's what I'm recognizing as powerful, and acknowledging and choosing to express more in the healthy, balanced way. And I'm still processing it. So I'd love to hear your take and your version, and what landed for you, and what you've received in this, and what bubbled up, and all the things, right? I'd love to have a conversation with you in the comments. We need to use our voice more. We need to claim that part of ourselves. And, in a way, that's why my monthly mixer this month is the Queen's Standard, is that reclaiming what are our values, and that part of ourselves, integrating the part of ourselves that has the standard that we require to express in the world, to move forward in the world, to have our voice in the world. Because when we understand what it is that is our container, now the boundaries are more aware and regulated, so that we've got a definition to say and to speak into the world, and to share with those about where we sit, and where, what we hold as our sacred truth. And that's on tomorrow. Tomorrow we are doing a process called the Queen's Standard Activation, where we will speak to that Queen energy of ourselves, and get that wisdom of what works for us and what doesn't work for us, and where we have been lowering our standards in some form or another. So if you want to claim your throne, throw throne into the comments, and we will send you the link for tomorrow. And that's me for pause. I really truly invite you to pause this day at least, and really consider where you're claiming your rebellious energy, and bringing it into alignment with the masculine and feminine, instead of having it as something that is outside of yourself. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Mwah.